Welcome everybody to a review of the second Warner Brothers archive collection to be released in the UK. But this one is a double feature, so we have the Val Lewton double feature. Val Lewton was a producer of films in the 40s, and he did notable films like Cat People and I Walked with a Zombie. And this has two films on it. Two films I really rather enjoyed, and two films I hadn't seen before watching them on this new disc. So I was going in completely blind, and the first of which is The Ghost Ship, starring Richard Dix from 1943, directed by Mark Robson, who also did The Harder They Fall, Champion, Von Ryan's Express, and Earthquake. He also directed Bedlam, which is the second film in this release. So The Ghost Ship is a psychological thriller clocking in at 69 minutes long. Like I said, it stars Richard Dix, who was also in It Happened in Hollywood, a film that was written by Samuel Fuller, and it was also a Mysterious Intruder, which was one of the 7 Whistler films from the early to late mid 40s, which, I had only seen Mysterious Intruder, thinking it was just a solo effort, didn't realise it was part of a much bigger series of films, but they weren't interconnected at all, so it didn't really matter. It also stars Russell Wade, who I've not seen anything from before in a leading role. He's in a couple of minor roles in a couple of other films, but this is his first leading role that I've seen him from, and it also stars Edith Barrett, who's also in I Walked with a Zombie, and The Lady Gamble. So, this is about Captain Stone's newly recruited officer, Tom Merriam, who idolises his senior, who treats him like a friend. But when a couple of his crew members die mysteriously, Tom starts doubting Stone's authority. So, this is an unexpectedly well-rounded film that fills its short running time with two great lead performances, as their friendship goes from friendly to toxic in an effective manner, while the general plot is engrossing. Its limited sets are also well used, as it's primarily set on the ship. There's a couple of land bits as well, but it's mainly the ship. And it's also got really good cinematography. The pacing is on point. The supporting cast is solid, and there is a surprisingly violent knife fight in the final act for what is otherwise an 80-year-old effort. Some quite graphic injury detail in that knife fight. So which was really surprising given its age. And this is obviously in the era of the Hays Code and all that lot, which really restricted what films could do. And surprisingly violent for a film from that time. And then from 1946, we have Bedlam. So this is a pure horror film, unlike The Ghost Ship, which, despite its title, has very little horror elements to it. And clocks in at 79 minutes long, so slightly longer than the previous film. Stars Boris Karloff, and now this is my 37th film from him, so I'm not going to reel off everything, but recent favourites, purely because of Eureka and their releases, are the likes of The Strange Door, The Black Castle, The Black Room, and The Invisible Ray. And it also stars Anna Lee, who was in the really rather excellent Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, The Crimson Kimono, Hangmen Also Die, and Seven Sinners. And this is set in London in 1761, St. Mary's of Bethlehem. A sinister madhouse is visited by wealthy people who enjoy watching the patients confined there as were caged animals. Nell Bowen, played by Anna Lee, one of the visitors, is horrified by the deplorable living conditions of the unfortunate inhabitants of this godforsaken place, better known as Bedlam. So, Boris Karloff plays the essential warden of this whole insane asylum. So, this is the peak of the Val Lewton horror films as far as I'm concerned, which is primarily down to the two fantastic leads and a deeply atmospheric setting. The cinematography is also excellent. There is some decent tension. The supporting cast is good. The plot is wholly engrossing. The script is extremely well written, despite its outdated portrayal of mental health. The score is solid, and some of the character interactions are entertaining, especially thanks to the way that the script is written. Now, sure, it isn't that scary, and it's quite limited in its settings, but this is overall a highly enjoyable effort, and both of them pretty much are. So I'd give The Ghost Ship a 3.5 out of 5, and Bedlam 4 out of 5. So, really surprised by how good these were, to be honest, because I quite frankly expected at least Bedlam to be great, considering it's got Boris Karloff and Anna Lee. While The Ghost Ship, I expected that to just be like an additional kind of like film just thrown out there just to make the collection, this release, look better than it actually is. But yeah, still surprisingly good, both of them. The only special feature you get though is commentary on Bedlam by Tom Weaver, although the films themselves have been restored and remastered. Not entirely sure into what capacity, but they definitely do look great on this Blu-ray. So yeah, really impressed by this, especially considering I've not seen either of them from before. But yeah, quite frankly, in boosted my Boris Karloff collection overall. I think I have like 25, 26 of his films now. So yeah, his filmography is definitely becoming a bigger and bigger part of my collection. And yeah, Bedlam is a well worthy of being in my collection, as well as the Ghost Ship as well. So yeah, get out there and get these if you can, because to be honest, they're only 50. It's only £15 for both of these. So you know, £7.50 for each is not a lot of money whatsoever. Not sure if these were released in the US in another form or anything like that, but as far as the UK goes, yeah, this is the second release from Warner Brothers Archive Collection that I've got. And yeah, Edge of Darkness was also pretty good, but I like my horror films, especially from the 40s, even more. So yeah, really superb effort, and yeah, really surprising. It's just a shame though that there's no physical extras whatsoever with this. Plain disc, no art cards, no posters, no reversible sleeve artwork, none of that, which is a bit of a shame, because obviously Warner Brothers Archive Collection is obviously replacing the premium collection from HMV, and yeah, although the premium collection rarely ever did any double features, usually if there was a second film, it usually just as an extra. Gaslight had an older version of its film on there, and House of Wax also had the Mystery of the House of Wax. I think that's what it was called, from the 30s, and yeah, they were literally just considered extras. They weren't like a bill, you know, promoted as a double bill. So yeah, even though we never got double bills from the premium collection, they did at least do the physical aspects a lot better, whereas this does feel a little bit cheap, even though the films themselves are great. So yeah, nonetheless though, thank you for watching. If you've seen either of these films before, then I'd like to hear your thoughts on them, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.